Hello real life kids, my name is Charlotte and this week we are in the next part of our series, Hope is Alive. And we're looking at Daniel, and some of you might already know about Daniel. He is most famous for being thrown into a den full of hungry lions and surviving it. And what we want you to do is take away from today's teaching that hope is alive, because he is alive, and Daniel knew that, and so do I. And we want you to be able to say that at the end of today as well. So in this video you will find everything that you need for Kids Work Today. There is a game, there is the story, there is the signs, the song, teaching notes and craft. So sit back, relax. I hope you enjoy the next part of our series looking at Hope is Alive. Have fun. Okay, here is the game for today. Now, I have to warn you that this game is the hardest game in the world. Are you ready? The hardest game in the world, I kid you not. And what you have to do in this game is to count to 20. And I know you might be sitting there saying, Charlotte, count to 20. I've been able to count to 20 since I was 3 years old, and that might be true, but in this game, counting to 20 isn't as simple as you might think. So you have to follow these rules. You have to play this game in a group, and you are not allowed to say more than one number at a time, and you can't make any action, any sound, or do anything to the other players to say who should say the next number. And you can't just go around in a circle and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Way too easy. So you have to do that. You have to try and not speak the next number at the same time as anyone else. And if two people say the next number at the same time, it's game over and you have to go back to number 1 and start again. So have a go at that, counting to 20, but with those rules. This game works best if you've got 3 or more people playing it. But if there's only 2 of you, don't worry. Either find some more people to play it. You could do it on Zoom or FaceTime, or go and grab some neighbours or some friends. Or you could do it with just 2 of you. But what you could do is close your eyes and you can say more than one number each, but not just really quickly. So you couldn't just sit there and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, etc. You have to say a number, pause, and wait and decide whether you're going to say another number. So have some fun. Here are some examples of Zach and Esme and Rory and Nick and some grown-ups having a go at trying to count to 20 together. Let me know how you get on. I want to know how many times it takes you to count to 20, or if you can even manage it at all. Have fun. Okay, you lot, show them how it's done.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, we'll start again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Oh.
Start again. 1, 1, 2, 1. You know how to keep on saying 1. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
I hope you had a lot of fun playing that game. Did you manage to get to 20? How many times did it take you to get there? That is a game that you can play over and over again if you want to, when you're in the car, when you're out and about, when you're with your friends at school. Have some fun with it. Our song of hope for this week is a song called Every Giant Will Fall by Wren Collective, and you might have already heard it. It's one that we sing in church sometimes, and this is one of Team Senior's favourite songs, and I just love the line that says, over fear, over lies, we're singing the truth that nothing is impossible with you. And it reminds me every time I sing it that with God everything is possible. So have a listen, have a sing, have a dance along, do some actions, and remind yourself that everything is possible with God. The link is in the notes, or the video is on our YouTube channel or on our Facebook page. We're going to watch Matt show you the signs now, so have a watch, have a practice along as you watch the signs.
Hope is alive.
Thank you, Matt. Real life kids, I hope you are practicing the sign. I bet you're getting good at that now. Shall we do it together one last time? Okay, here we go. So, hope is alive. Well done, brilliant job. I want to remind you about our memory verse for this series as well. So our memory verse is this. It is Matthew 12:21, and it says that, and his name, Jesus, will be the hope of all the world. And his name, Jesus, will be the hope of all the world. I hope you're doing well learning that, memorizing that. It's really good to get truth deep down inside you. So please have a listen now as Auntie Lorraine reads the story of Daniel from the Jesus Storybook Bible.
Hello everyone, my name is Auntie Lorraine and I'm going to read you a story from the Bible about Daniel and the scary sleepover. Things were not looking good for God's people. They had been captured and taken far away from home, and now they were slaves of the king of Babylon. But God did not leave his people. He was with them and he was looking after them. Daniel loved God and obeyed him. Now God made Daniel to be able to understand lots of difficult things, so it wasn't long before the king of Babylon noticed him. King Darius liked how clever Daniel was, and so he made Daniel his most important helper of all and put him in charge of a lot of other helpers. But the other helpers didn't like this. They wanted the king to like them best, so they spied on Daniel. They tried to get rid of Daniel. They tried to find things wrong with Daniel. Things they could tell the king. Things they could... But there weren't any things. None. They couldn't find anything at all. Except there was just the one thing. Every day, Daniel would go into his room, close the door, and pray. They smiled to themselves. Let's get the king to make a law that no one is allowed to pray to anyone except to the king. Daniel won't obey this law. He will be punished. They were pleased with themselves for being so clever and hurried off to tell the king. The king liked their idea. He didn't know they were tricking him, though. So he made it into law. Everyone must pray only to me. And if you don't, the lions will have you for dinner. Daniel heard about this. He knew it was wrong to pray to anyone except God. He had to do what God said, whatever it cost him, even if it meant he should die. So Daniel went to his room, closed the door, and prayed. That's just what the bad men knew Daniel would do. They skipped straight off to tell their king, "Oh, your most glittering highness, your law says, does it not, that everyone must pray to you alone, sire?" "Yes," said the king. "Oh, magisterial brightness, then correct us if we are wrong, but it would seem that Daniel is praying to God, not to you." The king was very sad. He had been tricked. He didn't want to hurt Daniel, but he couldn't change his law, and so he let the soldiers throw Daniel into the lion's den. "May your God, who loves you so much, rescue you," the king said. The king went back to his palace, but he didn't sleep that night. Not a wink. He tossed and turned until finally, at the first glimmer of dawn, he leapt out of bed and ran straight to the den. "Daniel!" he cried out. "Has your God rescued you?" "Yes," Daniel shouted. "God sent an angel to close the lions' mouths, and there, resting his head on Daniel's lap, was the biggest lion, purring like a kitten. The king brought Daniel out of the den. "Look," he said, "Daniel hasn't even got a scratch." The king made a new law. Daniel's God is the true God, the God who rescues. Pray to him instead. God would keep on rescuing his people, and that time was coming when God would send another brave hero, like Daniel, who would love God and do what God said, whatever it cost him, even if it meant that he should die. And together they would pull off the greatest rescue of the world, the greatest rescue the world has ever known.
Thank you so much, Lorraine. We absolutely loved listening to you read that story. You read so beautifully. So, hope is alive because he is alive. Daniel knew this, and so do I. So now what you need to do, Real Life Kids, is you need to go and grab a drink and a snack and settle down to listen to the teaching points about Daniel. Are you ready? Here we go. So Daniel had been taken away from his country to a new country where the king and the officials didn't know God and they didn't worship God. So Daniel was in a strange land, and that must have been really frightening and really scary for him. But Daniel worked hard where he was in that strange country, and he earned the favour of the king. And King Darius knew that Daniel was a good worker and he trusted him, so he put Daniel in charge of the whole country. But the other officials who worked for the king were a bit jealous of Daniel. They wanted to get him in trouble, and those jealous officials tricked King Darius into making a new law that forced everyone to stop praying to anyone other than the king. And if they didn't obey that law, they would be thrown into a pit of hungry lions to be eaten. But Daniel loved God, and when he heard about the new law, he didn't just follow it. He did what he always did. He got down on his knees and he prayed to God. He didn't let the new law or fear of what might happen to him if he disobeyed it stop him from praying to God and obeying God's command that we should pray to him. And the officials who tricked the king found Daniel praying and asking God for help, and they went to the king and they told him. And when the king heard about this, he was really sad. He liked Daniel, he trusted him, and he didn't want him to die. But the law couldn't be changed, and so Daniel was thrown into the den full of hungry lions. But Daniel wasn't eaten by those hungry lions. The lions were starving, but the Bible tells us that God closed their mouths. They weren't able to eat a thing. God protected Daniel. And the next morning, Daniel was still alive in the lion's den with those lions. There wasn't even a single scratch on him. And God can protect us from anything. He is with us in good and bad times, and he gives us hope. And it says in Daniel 6 verse 22 that God sent his angels to shut the lions' mouths so that they would not hurt Daniel. How good is God? So no matter what happened to Daniel, he trusted God. He had no idea what would happen when he was thrown into the lions, but it didn't matter. He just wanted to honour God. He knew that God has a better plan for him than anyone else, and he trusted God. And when God told him to do something, Daniel obeyed. So whatever is going on in our lives, Real Life Kids, we can trust God that he will take care of us, because he gives us hope, even when we're faced with a den full of hungry lions. Okay, Real Life Kids, it is time for your craft. So what we're going to do today is we are going to make a lion picture. And I have done a few different examples of what you could do as a lion picture here that I am going to show you. So you need to do a yellow circle in the middle of your bit of paper for the lion's face. You see this one? If you don't have any yellow card or paper, you could just draw a circle and colour it in yellow or paint it in yellow, and you need to draw your lion's face on it. And then what you need to do is you need to make the lion's mane out of whatever material you want to. What I've done with this one here is I got some orange paint and I got a fork, and I put the fork in the orange paint and then I just pressed it all around the edge there so it looks like the lion's mane. Can you see that one? So that is that one. What I did with this one here is, again, I started with my yellow lion's face, but I stuck a load of spaghetti around the edge with some of that white sticky glue, like that. You see that? My spaghetti lion. How cool is he? This next one I did here, oh, they're falling off a little bit. This one is a red lentil lion. So again, the yellow face in the middle, and then I stuck with some sticky glue red lentils, which are like little red grains that your grown-ups might have some of. Stuck those around the edge. And then the last one that I did here was with some bits of yellow tissue paper. So cut up some yellow tissue paper and stuck it on. You could do it with scraps of paper or whatever. Now, you don't have to do it with any of those things that I just showed you. You can make your lion's mane out of anything you want to, so be creative. And then what I want you to do is to write the Bible verse on the bottom here. So the Bible verse is, God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths so they would not hurt Daniel. And that's from Daniel chapter 6 verse 22. So when you've made your lion, make sure you leave a bit of space and write that verse on the bottom to remind you about how God protected Daniel. We would love to see your lion pictures, so please ask your grown-ups to share them with us, to send them to Melanie or to post them on social media. We are using the hashtag #RealLifeHopeIsAlive, so send me your lion pictures. I cannot wait to see them. I think this one is my favourite of mine, the one with the fork paint around the edge. There we go. Have fun crafting, Real Life kids. I cannot wait to see your lion pictures. Real Life kids, I hope you had fun making your lions, learning about Daniel and how he trusted God and put his hope in God. Don't forget, hope is alive because he is alive. Daniel knew this, and so do I. We love you, Real Life kids. Keep having fun with Jesus, and we will see you soon. Bye bye.